Deep dives into some of the most prominent action movies of all time, gentlemen. And I know that last week we promised the audience a deep dive into a mid-90s Nicolas Cage, John Travolta classic, Face Off. But then we realized, it's almost the 4th of July. And a couple listeners pointed out, this would be a good week to do Independence Day, the 1996 blockbuster. So we're going to do Face Off next week. And today we dive into a game-changer action movie. One of the highest grossing action movies of all time, Independence Day from 1996. And I don't want to spoil anything, but one of the great on-screen presidential performances in cinematic history.
I mean, I have a statement on it, but I not just cinematic history. I think real presidents and fake presidents history, to be completely honest.
If you rank all of the presidential speeches, fake and real.
George, what's his face is very upset, or Harrison Ford is very upset.
Oh,
George what's his face? George Washington?
No, I almost said George Harrison. Harrison Ford is very upset. He wants his credit.
Abraham, what's his face?
You know what? George Harrison should have been president, followed by McCartney.
He should have. So, all right, here is the summary for Independence Day. In the epic adventure film Independence Day, strange phenomena surface around the globe. The skies ignite. Terror races through the world's major cities. As these extraordinary events unfold, it becomes increasingly clear that a force of incredible magnitude has arrived. Its mission? Total annihilation over the 4th of July weekend. The last hope to stop the destruction is an unlikely group of people united by fate in unimaginable circumstances. 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. A $75 million budget turned into $817 million at the box office. The Rotten Tomatoes critics consensus says the plot is thin and so is character development, but as a thrilling, spectacle-filled summer movie, Independence Day delivers. This movie starred Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, Judd Hirsch, Randy Quaid, Robert Loggia, Vivica A. Fox, Harry L. Fallujah. Oh my God, it's Robert Loggia. G. Harry Connick Jr., and it was directed by Robert Emmerich, who also directed The Patriot, Godzilla, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, and all kinds of other explosion movies. So, this is one of the... I got some production notes. You guys chime in here. Independence Day became the second highest grossing film ever at the time, behind Jurassic Park, and it won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. While the film was still in post-production, Fox began an extensive marketing campaign to help promote the film, beginning with the airing of a dramatic commercial during Super Bowl 30, for which it paid $1.3 million at the time. The film's subsequent success at the box office resulted in a trend of using Super Bowl airtime to begin the advertising campaigns for potential blockbusters. Do you guys remember the lead up to this movie? Just the commercials and...
I was certainly too young.
It was huge.
The White House exploding and
My
stuff.
buddies all went and saw it. Like, it was...
You didn't?
An opening... No. It was
What?
An opening... No. I didn't see it until we watched it for this exercise 2 years ago.
Oh,
I'd never seen this film. I didn't care. But all of my friends, went the weekend it opened. It was that type of film. So, and back then, that was sort of common. I feel like now that the Top Gun sequel, which was huge, that's a rarity now. And the fact that people actually go to the theater. But back then, you had opening weekends, especially around the 4th of July, that were absolutely huge. And all of my friends were like, we got to go see this. I just didn't care.
I was 4 when this movie came out. So I was obviously still too young, but I remember how significant it was even years later. It was a legitimately and it still plays it even in 2022. It's still I love this movie. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah. There was a sequel a few years ago. Well, it was the best special effects that you could have in 1996.
Well, yeah, no, at the time it's great, but as we discussed with Twister, it's back then special effects were great. Now you're like, oh boy, they've come a long way. You know what though? If you go back in 96, look at the films that came out. 96 was what has to be one of the great years for films. Because I want to say Twister, this film, there's like 5 or 6 just mammoth films to
Wow,
this day.
I
The
just
Rock.
pulled up the list. Mission
I think The
Impossible, The Rock,
Yeah.
The Nutty Professor. I'm just going down the highest grossing movies. The Nutty Professor was the 5th. Ransom was 1996.
I love that film.
Give me back my son.
I saw that one, and that's a great film. I believe that's a Ron Howard production.
Wow.
Mel Gibson.
Phenomenon. Space Jam came out. Mr. Holland's Opus. Jerry Maguire, 1996. Jack. The Cable Guy.
Show me the money.
101 Dalmatians came out.
Yeah, I think The Rock might have been in there too.
The Rock did come out. Yes.
Yeah, but I think about that.
The 4th highest grossing movie. In fact, here are the highest grossing movies of 1996. Independence Day, Twister, Mission Impossible, The Rock. So just 4 straight up action movies. And then The Nutty Professor was 5th.
Eddie Murphy, man. Power of Eddie Murphy. Incredible.
Still had it in the mid 90s. The writers of this movie, one of which included Robert Emmerich, the director, were bothered by the fact that for the most part in alien invasion movies, they come down to Earth and they're hidden in some back field, or they arrive in little spores and inject themselves into the back of someone's head or something. Emmerich agreed by asking Devlin if arriving from across the galaxy, would you hide on a farm or would you make a big entrance? And the two wrote the script during a month-long vacation in Mexico, with the idea that if they're going to come to Earth from light years away, then, you're going to New York City. Yeah, you're going
everywhere.
Yeah, you're going to
blow
Tokyo.
Blow up every major town there is.
No. So, all right, we'll start with Judd here. We'll get into our statements about Independence Day.
My statement number 1 is this. One of the things that sets this film apart as far as the characters go, Randy Quaid playing himself is phenomenal. Randy Quaid in this film, like of all the action films, right, that came out and the action stars and the good-looking people that get those roles, my God, they basically had him play his vacation role.
Yes.
As a guy, cousin. You're exactly right. But I mean, I just loved it. I think that role, and I mean, this guy is off his rocker. There's no question. He's proven to be just a nutcase, which isn't surprising. But Randy Quaid, to me, what a casting.
I love the idea of you can create spin-off movies. Like this movie as a spin-off of Christmas Vacation. It's if Cousin Eddie, instead of drinking out of a flask, if he was just drinking out of the moose, the moose antlers eggnog glass.
He literally lives in an RV in both movies.
Yep.
He has an RV in both of these films.
With weird kids.
With weird kids.
I am proud, yeah. Yes. Great. I think the other thing, too, about like the cast in this movie, or just like the setup, within 5 minutes, you know what Randy Quaid's character is all about. You know that Jeff Goldblum is struggling to get over a divorce and trying to find meaning in life. We find out that Bill Pullman, as the president, also has kids. Used to be a fighter pilot and has an approval rating below 40%. Like all these things you find out in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Declan, I'm going to let you go next so I can grab my dog who is pawing at the door.
Okay.
So you go next with your statement.
You got it. Vinny's at Grandma and Grandpa's, so I don't got to worry about Vinny knocking on the door right now.
Drinking.
So we got Sal's drinking. That sounds exactly right.
Stop drinking.
Right. Yeah, that'll do it. My first statement on Independence Day is this. America's leadership could learn a thing or two from Bill Pullman.
All right.
No matter what political party either Bill Pullman identifies for or even as you as a listener identify with, you could learn a lot. And this country and its leadership could learn a lot from Bill Pullman. Here's some of the things I wrote down, and I'll even wait till Phil gets his headphones back on so I can explain this to Phil here. Now he comes back. Phil, my statement was...
All right, sorry. My wife's on an important Zoom, and she's like, can you just grab Maya real quick here? Yeah, sure. I'm just hanging out with my dog here.
So my statement, Phil, was America's leadership could learn a lot from Bill Pullman. No matter what party you identify with, you could learn a lot from Bill Pullman. Here's some of the things I noticed from Bill Pullman during his time as president in the movie Independence Day. He's strong-willed. He's very strong-willed with his convictions. He's well-spoken. But he also listens to others. He gathers all the info and then makes an informed decision. And even when an administration is lying to him about situations, he holds them accountable. There was no Area 51. No one told the president about Area 51. Are we serious?
Seems problematic.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand.
That might be a Bill Pullman problem. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong. But I think his administration also fails him a little bit. But he inspires others to do their best. And he put his own ass on the front lines, getting in a fighter pilot at the end of that amazing speech, which gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. I'm dead serious. I sometimes play that speech on YouTube if I need a little pep me up. It is that inspirational.
Dude, I'm not going to make fun of you because it's a great speech.
It literally gives me goosebumps. So my statement is very simple. America's leadership could learn a lot from Bill Pullman as his time as president in Independence Day.
Let's keep having this Bill Pullman conversation. I'll add a statement onto yours. I do think Bill Pullman is the greatest on-screen president of our lifetimes. And I actually have a list. And you know what? He's number 2 on the list that I pulled up from Esquire. It is hard to argue with number 1. So let's call him one of the 2 best on-screen presidents of all time. So number 5 is, and I've never seen this movie, it's President Beck from Deep Impact, who was played by Morgan Freeman. Number 4 was President Dave Kovich from the movie Dave, played by Kevin Kline. And then we had President Andrew Shepard from The American President, played by Michael Douglas. And then President Whitmore, Bill Pullman, in Independence Day is number 2. And President James Marshall, played by Harrison Ford in Air Force One. Get off my plane. Yeah. So it's hard to argue with that. I mean, it's a president that's literally like fighting terrorists on Air Force One and cleaning house.
Bill, flew a. I mean, I love the fact that in both films, the common thing is that the president, who's supposed to be ultra protected, right? Secret Service, blah blah blah, basically takes things into his own hands in both cases.
But those are the things that make him great, right? So the speech, just a brilliant speaker and leader of men and people and humanity. I think his human touch too. He knew that the mission to try and shoot down the alien spacecraft wasn't working after a couple got blown up, and so the generals were saying we need to try again, and he's saying nope, let's not just recklessly go killing our pilots. Just negotiating with aliens on the fly too. It's just a lot of things that he was remaining calm under pressure that I don't think other presidents would have. Intergalactic crisis, by the way, remaining calm under intergalactic crisis conditions.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And a lot of sort of incompetent bobos at times around him as well.
He fired a guy at one point.
Yeah. Why didn't they kill him? Like they killed so many people, and that guy he fired was like you were waiting for him to bite it, and you wanted him to die so bad, and they don't kill him. That frustrated me.
The one thing that there's a few things about this movie that are hard to believe, but in terms of Bill Pullman as president, he remained so confident and decisive.
Yes.
During a crisis in which you would have if it's wartime or something, and you're about to. You're having a stare down with Russia or something. Well, that has happened before in American history. Or maybe there's racial tension and you have to figure out what to do. Well, that has happened before in American history. This is intergalactic crisis.
Statement within a statement. Everyone seems awfully calm for insane casualties that have happened in the world. Like everyone in LA, I got to imagine millions and millions of people have just been murdered across the world.
Oh, they're getting wiped out left and right.
No, actually, it's more than that. There was a book written. So next statement. I'm glad Declan brought this up. Declan's hitting on all the right notes here. So I'll just jump in with the next statement here. The plausibility of the final attack seems far-fetched. And I did. Well, actually, let's dive into that in a second. Let's dive into the actual. Like the aftermath of all of this, and that the world would be very shook if this happened in a lot of different ways, and there is a I don't know if you want to call it like a sequel book, but there was a book written that tries to bridge together the gap between the original Independence Day in 1996 and the sequel movie that came out like 2016 or something, and the book covers the 20-year period between those two movies and the world rebuilding. And in that book, it estimates that at least 3 billion human beings were killed throughout all the 50 major cities. And so here's the write-up. Humanity had won the war, but at a tremendous cost. Earth was devastated from the invasion as more than 100 of the planet's populous and historical cities, along with irreplaceable institutions such as museums, libraries, etc., were destroyed, and at least 3 billion human beings were killed. This is from the sequel book. Many of these deaths were caused by riots, disease, crime, and hunger during and following the conflict. Those alive would never recover from the wounds of the invasion, both physical and emotional. So what would the world look and feel like if, and would it be such a celebratory vibe if, in the end we beat the aliens, but 50 to 100 cities are ruined and billions of people are dead?
And at that point in time, too, what is Pullman's character left to be president of? Like
Omaha.
Yeah, exactly. Every major
Reno?
city basically got blown up.
Yeah,
LA got blown up. New York got blown up, right? So like he's like, today is a victorious day for
all you in Grand
San
Forks,
Antonio,
North Dakota are doing well.
It's a great day for Utah. I mean, what's left? Anyway.
So yeah, that's a lot of dead people too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My next statement. Of all of the things that Bill Pullman's character as president takes well, he especially takes the death of his wife well. No film that I've seen, and I actually sort of admire this, sets up death and moves on like this film does.
Yeah.
Harry Connick. We got Harry Connick. What should we do? Let's kill him. Bill Pullman's wife, the first lady, dies, and it's just sort of like, she's dead. Let's be victorious. Like, there's no death that is really like taken hard or explored or anything. The death toll in this film is essentially just rolled with. We're gonna roll with that.
Yeah, it's and there's almost like a tongue-in-cheek aspect to this movie too, where
Harry Connick's death is like this character.
Oh my.
Yes, and even like the end scene with Randy Quaid's character, it's this kind of tongue-in-cheek, up yours, right?
Yeah.
I'm back. So we're trying to balance killing billions of people.
And by the way, there's no question he's drunk. He flies that thing as blitzed as can possibly be.
Just give me another cup of coffee and I'll be okay. I swear.
It is an all-time tearjerker though. That scene, like I cried. I cry at that scene every time when they go to the hospital and mommy is going to sleep now. Like that pulls at the heartstrings every time.
He just moves right on though. He's like,
it is a good observation though. Like they did she's dead and we're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on. We're on Cincinnati.
It goes on to
that got
next, and that's a drive by Castellanos, and there'll be a home run to West. My statement is, I love that this film wastes no time. So they just go pretty much right into this. That hey, there is a giant ship over like all the national monuments and buildings in the world within like the first 5 minutes of this film. They go right after it. They blow up these cities. I think I pause it to like check when actually time's up, right? And the ships go off and blow up the White House and LA and all the other major buildings. I think at like 44 minutes is when that happens. So like you're already on the edge of your seat. Typically with action movies, right? You have the slow burn to get to that 45 minutes or like hour in before then it's kick-ass time. And now we're going to be into this. This is literally like on the edge of your seat for the entire film.
Yeah.
And even though it's over 2 hours, I don't feel like this film's too long at all. Judd probably could cut out 30 minutes, no problem. But I'm at the edge of my seat, and this film wastes no time when you're watching it.
I'm with you. Yeah, it's a long movie. Judd, you are the resident, cut movies down to 45 minutes. Yeah, runtime guy. Did you feel like there was 30 minutes that you could cut out of this movie?
Yeah,
probably. Did you feel like
50.
it dragged?
Probably 15 or so.
Pretty good.
So some of the characters that they kill, they didn't really need. But at that time, too, though, as far as special effects go and stuff, it was probably just like, we've got all of this cash to make this film. Let's kill more people, which it's fine. Like, if you went to that film back then, I don't think you're disappointed by the runtime. Like, I think that's a film where you expect it to be long.
Yeah, you're settling
and
it.
in the theater, you almost encourage it, probably.
Yeah, no, you're settled in.
Because it's not boring.
Okay, let's go back to I was gonna make this statement a little while ago, but then wanted to dive further into the 3 billion quote. The plausibility of the final attack is a little far-fetched. So let's break this down for a second. It's 1996. aliens have traveled light years in 15-mile wide spacecraft. That's what they said these things were. Not just one of them that they spent building. They literally have the technology and the advancement to build dozens and dozens of 15-mile wide spacecraft that can travel light years. Technology that might be hundreds, if not thousands of years advanced from where we are in 1996 on Earth. Okay, that's one side of the fight. On the other side, we've got humans that just started playing Oregon Trail 5 years earlier on Macintosh computers. And we're expected to believe that the humans are going to hack into these advanced alien spacecraft, plant a virus, and blow up all of these 15-mile wide machines or spacecraft, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, and travel into space. Like and like it doesn't seem like that ship is equipped to be. I know it's from outer space, but like they're not wearing astronaut suits. Like there's nothing about them when they actually fly into space that makes you think, oh, this is astronauts and like they're equipped for this. Like that, we watched Armageddon. They had to prepare those 9 slappy oil diggers for like.
That's actually pretty good. Yeah,
like 45 minutes or to watch them do it, and then Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum just go to space like that. They just make a decision. Are smoking cigars 10 minutes later. Like what the hell?
Yeah, it's just and by the way, like, okay, so the aliens are advanced enough to be able to just sort of they come to this new planet and maybe they've scouted it from afar without being noticed, but they come to the planet and instantaneously they know enough about our communication satellite system to sort of hijack it and use it as their own community. So they're just instantly coming in being like, boom, okay, we're just going to take down your communication structure. We're going to use it. But yet one of the countries figures out just on a freaking like Hail Mary pass how to blow up one of these spacecraft, and they're not nimble enough to communicate to each other. Oh, we have a problem over here, so watch out over Tokyo. It's like, nope, we figured out one of them, and now all of a sudden they're all just screwed. Also, okay, we're hacking into their system, and we're sending Randy Quaid in a plane sort of up the rectum of the spacecraft. That was enough to blow up a 15-mile wide. I feel like wouldn't that blow up a section of it?
I'm back.
Would it blow up all 15?
No, I'm with you here. That's
miles of
this film was not striving for accuracy, credibility. It was striving for, because it is tongue in cheek. Like I think a lot of it is Quaid, Will Smith. I think a lot of it was written to sort of just have fun. Have a ton of highly priced action, and drop funny lines.
No, that's what I call a close encounter.
Yeah,
lights the cigar. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. My next statement is: the people of Earth get what they deserve here. So this whole thing where we've got aliens and. That scene, I think it's in Los Angeles, right? At the top of the thing where they're all up there. They're like, "Oh, this is awesome. This is cool, dude. What's going to happen?" And of course, they all die, which they deserve. Yeah. Again, if we really had an invasion, and let's say they aliens came in and they parked their ships there. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some morons who live on this planet. But would you have that many people like, oh, this is awesome, this is cool? I think a large contingent would be like, oh my God, what's happening here? We got to do something. We've got to. So the people of Earth, I think, largely got what they deserved for their curiosity and the fact that they assumed that these massive spaceships would come in peace and just sort of park there and sit there.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's totally obnoxious. And I'm with Judd. I literally wrote down, these people get what they deserve. That's what I have written verbatim in my note section. They deserved it. They're literally just going to look at that spaceship. Like, my next statement on this, like, if aliens come to Earth, I am hiding in a bunker for the rest of my life. I am not equipped. And when they're like, oh, we'll take anyone with flying experience or anyone to help fight. If there's any type of imminent war, nuclear war, or a draft, whatever, I'm out. I am not useful for you. You are better served not having me involved. I promise. I am not going to be able to help with this. So yes, I
okay,
agree
but
with
doesn't it? So I feel like the idea of aliens arriving to Earth is fascinating. You guys are more terrified by it.
I want nothing to do with
I think
them.
it's legitimate and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I would have
agree.
so many questions for them. Like how
they
much
blow
further
you
advanced
away.
are you? Well,
Yeah, but they kill you.
How do you know?
Because they're not going to like people.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Our people don't like people.
If they come to America.
You take one look at this. You take one look at this world. Are you really going to say, yeah, you know what? I'd really like to incorporate your lifestyle.
Why do we always assume, too, that aliens are that ugly? You know, is it because we've had enough alien sightings to know that they...
It's a great Twilight Zone on that.
Are you talking about the one where she's getting surgery in the hospital?
And they take the mask off, and it's that's a good one.
Yep. Spoiler alert.
Right.
They are aliens, and she is a beautiful blonde woman, and they think she's ugly because she doesn't look like them, right?
And the entire show, they don't show her, so you're expecting this just abomination, and she's gorgeous, and they're like, no change.
Yep.
And they can't look at her so I think that this is a question, though, that is best answered by saying, I think the perception of what a being looks like, because like people sort of look weird, but we're used to it. Like it's what we were brought up with.
Like feet. The feet are weird.
Well, and noses are weird. Like just arbitrarily on your face, you got this thing that just juts out.
Yeah, if you came down from another one, don't even get me started with below the belt, okay?
Oh, I don't want to
some of that stuff looks like if you're an alien. What is that? What are those things?
Well, and who knows what they got? Who knows what they're packing?
Oh my god.
I don't know
Oh my
I don't know
god.
if I want to know what the aliens are packing.
You don't know what they're packing. But like faces are weird.
Yeah.
Like ears are weird.
Yeah, it's true.
Like you just have these things that are growing out of the side of your head, and we're just always, that's of course. They're
Isn't it
ears.
weird that apparently your ears keep growing too?
Yeah.
That as you get older, your ears just look gigantic because they sort of keep growing.
Yeah, my dad's at the end looked really weird.
Yeah, you never see like a 98-year-old with
around.
small ears.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Freaky.
My next statement about this movie is that I think slapping 4th of July branding on this movie was completely unnecessary for the plot, but genius for marketing. This was a movie about aliens invading Earth. It really had nothing to do. It could have happened in September. It could have happened in December. But the fact that somebody came along and said, what if it happened on our country's birthday, Independence Day, 4th of July? And they wind up calling the movie Independence Day. And Bill Pullman's speech, right, references, this is our Independence Day. It's kind of shoehorned. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but great for marketing purposes. Is it fair to say that this movie without, I can't remember what they were going to call it, but it was something else entirely, that this movie without Independence Day branding is still a hit, but it's probably more of like a $200 million hit? That they probably gained $500 million at the box office by branding it the way that they did.
And what's the speech?
Yeah, it would probably look at like Armageddon. Like, it'd be look like that movie where it's just like, this is an obnoxious, kind of over the top, ridiculous plot hole filled movie. It's probably looked at in a similar vein as that.
Yeah. Just like it as I was watching, I was thinking, it's Independence Day. It was released on Independence Day weekend in 1996, but it has almost nothing to do with Independence Day. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever watch these corny Christmas movies on Netflix, A California Christmas, and this woman has to sell her wine farm or whatever, and like it has nothing to do with Christmas, but they put it in and around Christmas time when the thing is happening. It's now it's Christmas. Oh, okay.
This is our independence. My next statement is the spaceship at the end looks like a giant cake. So the spaceship, like special effects and things being built now have come so far. Because back then, I'm sure this was considered, cutting edge, really cool, right? But if you go back and look at that, it looks like a giant cake. It's just funny how like with Twister and with this film in 1996, you watch those films and you're like, oh my God, the special effects are great. And now in 2022, you look at them and you say, like in Twister, it's a very sunny day and there's a massive tornado going through. How's that?
Yeah.
Or with this, like the special effects of the spaceships that they built. It's just, I get the fact that at the time it was considered super cool, but I couldn't get past the fact that now it looked like a big old cake from Byerly's to me. Just sitting
Judd just hungry watching Independence Day.
I gotta have a
cake.
slice of that spaceship.
Thinking about cake. My statement is more of a question to you two. So, who would you rather be? We actually talked about two of these guys so far. Who would you rather be in this film? Would you rather be Randy Quaid, the hero at the end, but also the town drunk who has been previously probed by aliens? That doesn't sound too appealing to me. Would you rather be the Area 51 leader, the weirdo guy who gets his throat wrapped around and the aliens communicate through him when they try to do the probe? That's also
good death.
That was terrifying.
I like that death.
It is spooky. Judd.
I want you to die.
No peace. Yeah. Or would you rather be the people we talked about in the last previous round of statements who are just on top of the building asking for their own death? You have to pick one of these three paths.
Quaid. Yeah, I want to go.
You be Quaid?
I want to be Quaid. I want to go out, blaze of glory, be the hero. Let's
Plus,
get
I'm going
it.
out drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're almost there, right? Like, yeah, it's basically there. I found those three paths really interesting as I was watching this film unfold. And the Area 51 guy, we probably, in terms of the trimming out, we could probably do without some of his monologues and like that kind of stuff. Like that's probably the one area where it's freaky or not needed. But his actual death, it's pretty terrifying.
His death is
pretty
good.
terrifying.
That's a quality scene.
What do you think the gap is between what the public currently knows in real life, like not 1996 Independence Day, but we're just now starting to see a little bit more transparency about UFOs and sightings and stuff. How wide do you think the gap is between what we know as the public and what the government knows and has seen? Do you think how much life form do you think? Do you think there's been a bunch of different encounters of aliens coming to Earth?
Yeah, probably.
Definitely.
I mean, if you go back through the years, yes. And look, I think that there's a lot of people who care, but flat out, there are probably a lot who just don't care. But I think if you were to discover what is in the classified information of the government compared to what we know, I think there's a big gap. Because, I mean, I firmly believe that there are galaxies and life forms. Like, it wouldn't make sense if we're the only one.
Yeah. And it kind of, when you think about it, okay, if they have found a way to stumble through galaxies, however far they're traveling,
yep,
and they're making it to Earth, and they're obviously very far advanced, and it's hard to wrap your head around, okay, how long would it take for us? Would it be hundreds, thousands of years? But then if you think about the Earth has been around for however many millions of years, right? And for all of those millions of years, we really had no advancement technologically or travel-wise. Like, you pretty much rode horses and walked for millions of years. And then all of a sudden, someone invented a wheel, and then someone invented electricity, and it was like all within a couple, 200, 300, 400 years. And we started, with the wheel and then electricity and then light and then a plane and then a spaceship. And now it's like we sent a rover to Mars. Can you imagine explaining to someone 150 years ago, you're all going to get on a giant ship basically with arms on it, and you're going to fly from Los Angeles to New York, and there's going to be very few problems or deaths or anything. And then eventually you're going to be able to send machines to Mars. And, that thing you see up in the sky there, it'll be super easy for us just to hop on a spaceship and go. And that's all happened basically in the last 100 years.
Yep.
So what's going to happen in the next 100 years? How far are we going to be able to travel?
Oh.
I mean, I don't expect you to know the answer. I'm just
posing questions. I'm trying to give this some very in-depth and serious thought. I think the question is, and I think the answer is no for us. I think the question is, can you get out of the galaxy and live and survive? Because here's the thing. Like, they used to talk about this. It feels like it's died down. But let's say that you could send common people to Mars or something. One, I ain't going. And
I'm
two,
not going.
And two, like, what's there? We know what's there. A bunch of rocks. It's cold. You'd have to be in a special suit. I mean, I think the only advancement would be to literally for us to design our own spaceships to get out of the galaxy. But the first few folks who did that would probably just spontaneously combust and die, and I don't want to die that way. And plus, I'll be dead when this all happens.
Just leave me here. Just leave
Yeah,
me here.
look,
I'm cool.
I got Surly
my
in
future
sports.
generations get to figure this out. I'm not worried
I got
about
Dawn
it.
and Stella. I'm fine here. I'm a man of simple means. Like, I don't need to explore.
Any other statements from you guys on Independence Day?
I got one. President Whitmore's hair is unbelievable because it never moves.
He does have great hair.
I mean,
Bill Pullman had some great hair.
I'm just going to put this succinctly as possible from my standpoint. A lot goes wrong. Like, there's a lot of hair-raising experiences. The man's hair, it doesn't move. Like, down to the speech. Mm-hmm. When he's flying, the hair's perfect. My God, does he have good hair?
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to nitpick about Bill Pullman in general in this movie.
No.
Would love to see what his final approval rating wound up being, though.
Well, they're all dead.
That's the thing, yeah.
There are like 20 people left.
A lot fewer people
thumbs up
to vote on that. So for every action movie, we go through two different rating systems here. We'll start with the first one, which is the definitive villain rating system, 1 through 10 scale. And the criteria is how iconic was the villain, how ruthless was the villain, and how charismatic was the villain. And in this case, the aliens in Independence Day are the villains. Mm-hmm. So, Judd, how do you stack them up on a 1 to 10 scale?
Well, charismatic's probably difficult because they don't really talk much. But I will say this: when they do, it's terrifying. I'm going to give them an 8. Like, they're pretty iconic and they're pretty effective, and they kill a lot of folks who probably get exactly what they deserve. So I'm going to give them an 8. I mean, those idiots in that tower thing just drove me nuts. Oh, it's cool. Now you're going to die.
On the iconic and ruthless factor, I mean, they're honestly perfect 10s. Like they are. This brought back an entire thing of aliens. They're ruthless as hell. They potentially murder billions and billions of people. Yeah, the charismatic part probably dings them a little bit. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a little guy inside a big alien. So like, I wouldn't really call it charismatic. Like, it's just that little guy, controlling the big thing. So like, that's not charismatic to me. It's disgusting and kind of freaky and scary, but I wouldn't call it charismatic. I would give them an 8 as well. I think they're an 8 out of 10.
Okay. I'm more of a 7.5. I agree. They're definitely ruthless. Charismatic, not very. In terms of iconic, I can't give them a 10 because they're not as iconic as the aliens from Alien. I don't even know if they're as iconic as some other aliens. Like Signs had some iconic aliens. There's a lot of iconic aliens throughout the years.
I think they're more iconic than Signs. I love Signs. It's like one of my all-time favorite films, but I don't think they're as iconic as Signs. But that alien that stops in Signs that thing kept me up for years. Actually, I'm still terrified to go to bed and walk in Brazil for that reason.
The professor they kill is a pretty good kill. Like, that gets them points in my book.
Yep.
I like that kill.
So that makes it a 7.8, which makes the aliens in Independence Day the highest rated villain so far, ahead of Surfer Bodie from Point Break and the F5 Tornadoes from Twister. At the bottom of the list are the Personal Demons from both Top Gun movies and the British car-loving gangster from Gone in 60 Seconds, all 1.3 or below.
Sucked.
Okay, now we get to the overall entertainment value of this movie here, a 1 through 10 rating on Independence Day.
I'll stay consistent, an 8. It's fun. Like, I like the fact that they committed to what they committed to. Like, they didn't sweat death. People die left and right, and there's no focus to it. They did a good job there. The dialogue is consistently trying to be basically guys cracking wise, which I'm fine with. Pullman's character is incredibly solid. So 8. I think that they very much, for what they were trying to do in 1996, they achieved.
It's a 9 for me. It's a really good movie. I still think it holds up. It's on the edge of your seat. I wouldn't say it's a perfect film, so that obviously would ding it from being at a 10, but I love this movie. I can rewatch it. I can stop and sit and watch it if it was on TV. I'm going to watch it all the way through. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. I do like this movie.
Yeah, it's a 9 for me too. Definitely a movie that I stop on a regular basis when it's on. If I'm anywhere near the Bill Pullman speech, I am in 100%. If I'm anywhere near pretty much everything from the Bill Pullman speech until the end of the movie, that last 30 minutes or so, it's edge of your seat. It's amazing stuff. So it's a 9 for me, which makes it a 8.7 score between the three of us, putting it as the second most entertaining action movie we have done since we rebooted this franchise 5 or 6 movies ago. So Top Gun Maverick, 9.3, Independence Day, 8.7, Top Gun the original, 8.3, Point Break, 7.8, Twister, 6.7, Gone in 60 Seconds, a 4.7. So
All right,
there you have it.
Well underway now.
Yes, we are.
We're into it.
And now we get to face off next week. John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, a mid-1990s classic that I can't wait to hear Judd's take on because you've never seen this movie before.
Never seen it.
Let's get it.
All right.
This has been Action Movie Rewind, where we do entirely way too deep dives into some of the world's most popular action movies on Mackey and Judd and the Score North YouTube channel.